accused of being elitist. Politicians don't relate to the people. Politicians don't talk to the people. They certainly don't understand the people. We at UKIP feel that we should have public meetings so we can let you question us, let you hear the very politicians.
Between UKIP and Labour. Tim Aker is the only candidate from Thurrock and wants the people here to be the first. A vote for Tim Aker is the best way of stopping Labour. A vote for the Conservatives in Thurrock will only help Labour. I'm dismayed that the Tory MP let voters down in 2011 when she voted against a EU referendum. I think everyone here wants a referendum, yes, as we do.
And I've seen the changes. I haven't had to see them in newspaper clippings or speak to local journalists about what the changes have been. I've actually seen them. And I'm not happy with what I've seen. I don't think any of us are we?
No.
Who here feels that they've been properly consulted about the changes that have happened in Thurrock? No, no one. You go anywhere. We were in Ockenden earlier, and we went to shop after shop after shop, and each shopkeeper said that the changes were intolerable. I remember when Ockenden used to have a thriving market. We'd go there every Saturday, wouldn't we? And get a burger and do the shops, and you'd see stall after stall after stall. And now it's like a ghost town. They took the car park away, building houses. It seems the only time they think about Thurrock is where they're going to put the next round of houses. But they're taking away our services. The Grays Walking Centre. The Grays Walking Centre. How can it be right that they take an 8 to 8, 7-day-a-week service and replace it with a 9 to noon service Saturday and Sunday? Because it's cheaper, because they've forgotten about us and they want to cut and cut and cut. And I tell you for this, I hope she's watching, but Jackie, shame on you for supporting the cuts to the Grays Walking Service. Yeah. I've even seen on Facebook that she's saying she's the only local candidate, which is quite shocking, seeing as I don't think Sheffield is in Thurrock. I was going to say something about the Tories not being good at geography, but she didn't say much when they built on the Aveley Greenbelt, on the Aveley bypass. All of a sudden we heard that she was the champion of the Greenbelt, that she was the one who was going to fight and grab Eric Pickles by the lapels and say, "You're not going to build on our Greenbelt." Well, did she not want to save the Aveley bypass in 2011-12? No, it wasn't a general election around the corner, was there? But I'll tell you what did save the Aveley Greenbelt at Purfleet Road. The thing that saved it was UKIP winning the Aveley by-election in December. That's what won it, and thank you all to everyone who had the pleasure.
Parachute Polly.
She used to work for Ed Miliband, so she really is Ed Miliband's candidate. And he was the Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change in 2007-8. And something quite disastrous happened then. The government transposed legislation for the Large Combustion Plant Directive from the European Union. Now that called time on the power stations that provide us with a third of our energy. One after the other is closing, and one of those is Tilbury Power Station. Hundreds of jobs have been lost. And so I asked her, I said, what did you do? You say you want to stand up for Thurrock. What did you do to keep those jobs? You know what she said? You're a climate change denier. I think she's a job denier. I think she's a record denier. And people will see through it, because what we've been told, what we've seen, and if any of you got the Evening Standard tonight, is that Labour have been putting around mistruths and deceit in the papers saying we want to do all sorts of things to the NHS. Well, I was the first one that said we should keep the Grays Walking Centre open. And people, one by one, as we go and knock on their door, they're taking down their Labour boards and they're putting UKIP ones up. Can't do that. I'm not afraid to say that Grays has become a no-go zone because of the crime, because of the reputation, because it's gone downhill. Rubbish everywhere. And why do the others attack us? The others attack us because we're telling the truth. As Harry was saying, and as Anne was saying, we're telling the truth on immigration. We're telling the truth on the referendum. We're telling the truth on the deficit. We're telling the truth on the health service. We are telling the truth. And they use the media to attack us. They use phantom polls to attack us. But the people will be heard. We're the party of the referendum. We're the party of direct democracy. And this is why we've packed out the Circus Tavern for the biggest public meeting in Thurrock's history. Yeah. The bookies... The bookies have got us as favourites. Lord Ashcroft, God bless him, has got us in the lead. YouGov showed we are in the lead. We can do it. And if you vote UKIP, you get UKIP. The Labour Party is not a Labour Party anymore. What Labour Party would advertise nearly 1 million jobs, British jobs.
Years old. I've had my ups and downs in life. I've had a few successes and many failures. I've only got one kitchen, I'm afraid. But unlike the leaders of the other parties, unlike the so-called mainstream, guess what? I actually had a job once. Amazing, isn't it? My feeling is that we're increasingly run by politicians from 3 parties. Well, it was 3 parties. It may not be after the next election. I know the Lib Dems aren't too popular around here. But my feeling is we're increasingly run by men and women who sit on the front benches, who've been to the same handful of schools, who go to the same university, who do the same degree, who leave university, become researchers, become members of parliament in their late 20s, cabinet ministers in their early 40s, and increasingly I feel we're being run by a bunch of college kids who've got no understanding of what real life is. Now what motivated me to get out of business and get into politics was one very simple but I think fundamentally important thing. I realised 20 years ago that what my mum and dad had voted for in a referendum in 1975, namely membership of something that was called the common market, and the older heads here will remember the pack of lies you were told. Yeah. You know, it was going to be about trade, wasn't it? No threat to our ability to govern our own country. And I realised in the early 1990s that actually far from being a common market, we were actually becoming part of a new European league, that those that went before us and sacrificed and gave so much in 2 world wars did so that we I stand here as the leader of the only political party in Britain that says we want to trade with Europe, we want to cooperate with Europe, we want to be friends and good neighbours with Europe, but we want our country back. And of course, what membership of this club has meant is that since 2004, we have got into a political union with 10 former communist countries. Countries that really are poor. Countries in which their minimum wage is about 9 times lower than it is in this country. Now, it was the Labour government that opened up the door to all of these poor former communist countries, albeit with support from the Conservative Party. The Labour Party said it would lead to an extra 13,000 people a year coming to Britain. Quite get that right, did they? I said back in 2004 it would lead to a huge, unprecedented wave of people, and I'm afraid I have been proved right. And yet, the other week you might have seen I was in a little debate with the other party leaders. And a woman in the front row asked a question. She said, can the panel tell me what can be done about immigration into Britain all the while Britain is a member of the European Union? Nothing, thank you. Nothing. That's the answer, nothing. And the other parties have got nothing to say. They talk about benefits, they talk about perhaps making things a little bit harder, but the fact is we have a treaty commitment. And effectively your passport, if you look at it, the first two words on it are European Union. We're going to change that, by the way, at some point in the future. Effectively is the same passport for 485 million people, and any of them can come here in unlimited numbers. And it has, without doubt, depressed wages in this country for ordinary men and women working in this country. What has become the most important issue to the people of this country. We're the only people saying we must have a referendum on our membership of the EU, we must take back control of our borders, and then let's put in place a positive, lasting solution that I believe would have the support overwhelmingly of the British people. Let's make immigration in future on the basis of the Australian-style point system. Yes, we think immigration can be a very good thing. It can be a positive thing. But we've got to control the numbers, and we've also got to control the quality of who comes to Britain, just as Australia does. He is part of this community. He is not afraid to stand up and say what needs to be said. Don't listen to the others who talk about splitting votes and letting the others in. Let's do this much more positively. Let's say that just as it was with Clacton up the road last September and over the water in Rochester in November last year, if on May the 7th you go out and vote UKIP, you will get UKIP.